my dudes and darlings, Popstar Queen here, and today I'm going to be reading to you guys this new Bendy fanfiction I've been working on for some time now, which is called The Lighter Side of Hell, which is a BendyxPenny, which is an OC I created in my Art and OC book. I'll put a link down for that in the description if you want to check it out. And LucyxBoris, which is another OC of mine, and then it's a Bendy and Ingrid fanfiction written by me. And so, this is just a brief description of it, if you want to read it over quickly, but I will link it down in the comments, in the description down below, as well as my Wattpad link if you want to read it for yourselves. And I'm just going to read you guys both the prologue and the chapter 1 that I uploaded yesterday. I would have done it the other day, but I was busy with other things, so I couldn't be able to. But anyways, let's just jump right on in. Almost there now, Miss Lucy Peters says to herself as she was putting the finishing touches on the final sketch of her character, Miss BendyxPenny. As a fellow animator and artist of Joey Drew Studios, Lucy really wanted to work up the courage to ask Joey Drew himself, of allowing her new creation to become an official member of the show, alongside Bendy the Dancing Demon, Boris the Wolf, and Alice Angel. Princess Penny herself was drawn to be a girl of Bendy's initial height, whom really loved to sing and dance, as she wears a white ballerina-like dress, black ballet shoes, and a silver tiara in her short and dark curly hair. Lucy also drew her more to look like she was dancing and having the time of her life, her small lips curved up in a small smile as she spun. Another little touch to Miss Lucy's Peters' design were two teardrop-like markings underneath her oval-shaped eyes. When she was drawing them, Lucy thought that they were a nice touch to her creation. Hopefully someone can be able to understand the metaphorical meaning behind them. Then, after drawing out the character, Miss Peters then went on writing key personality traits and other important notes to describe her creation. Princess Penny is a rather very shy and quiet character who likes to be a princess, to hopefully boost her confidence as she feels romantic attentions with the little devil darling himself, Bendy. She and Bendy seem to share a lot in common on the show, being their timid personalities and all that, so Lucy was hopeful that the proposal towards Joey Drew will be successful. Anyways, Lucy debated about if she should add anything else to Penny's character before going to speak to her manager. Working hard, I see. A familiar voice suddenly made Lucy turn her head towards her good animator friend, Henry Stein. Oh, hey, Henry, Lucy says with a smile, getting up from her seat and giving him a hug, which he gladly returned with a small chuckle. What are you working on? Henry then asked his friend, separating the embrace and glancing over at Miss Peters' handiwork. Well, it's supposed to be a new character for the show. I was hoping to show Joey, and if he'll approve of the idea, Lucy says, starting to feel a bit nervous about the whole idea itself. Well, can I see it? Henry asked his friend curiously. Oh, sure, Lucy nodded, letting Henry see the drawing of her creation on her desk. She then watched as Henry's face made all sorts of expressions of intrigue and interest in her character. After a few minutes, Henry smiled as he told Lucy, Wow, Lucy, this is amazing. You really think so? Lucy asked, hoping that Henry was being sincere. I know so, Henry nodded, before asking, Also, any clue of who would possibly voice Penny? Well, once Joey approves of the idea, I was hoping to voice her until there could be a more suitable replacement. Lucy smiled with a small, nervous shrug. I see, Henry tells her. And anyway, good luck. I'm positive that Joey will let you use Penny the show. Thanks, Henry. Lucy grinned at her friend before taking in a deep breath and making her way towards her manager's office to step. Excuse me, Mr. Drew, may I have a word with you for a minute? Lucy asked, knocking on her manager's office door. Poking his head out the door, Joey says to Miss Peters in a friendly intonation, Oh, Miss Lucy, please, come on in. Letting her step inside, Lucy felt butterflies in her stomach as she made her way towards the chair in front of Joey's desk, and took a seat, her fingers fiddling in her lap as she held the sketch of her creation. So, Miss Peters, what was it that you wanted to show me? Joey then asked the female artist and animator sitting in front of him as he went down in his chair. Well, you see, Mr. Drew, I was wondering if a new character I've been working on could be a new addition to the show, Lucy says briefly, before sliding over the sketch towards Joey. Well, let me have a look then, Joey says, starting to inspect the sketch. Lucy then waited both nervously and patiently to hear Joey's opinion on her character, and seriously hoping that he'll approve of it. After a few moments, much like when Henry looked at Penny earlier, Joey asked Miss Peters, So, Miss Lucy, why exactly aren't Penny's eyes like the rest of our characters? Well, it's only a draft, Mr. Drew, Lucy says, trying to get her nerves settled. I just wanted to guess the concept with you first. I see. And you're aware we already have a female character on the show, was Joey's answer before adding, And have you considered of whose the character's voice actor would be? I understand that, Mr. Drew, Lucy answers, and I was just hoping to add another female character to the show, to help appease more to the audience. And, if it's alright with you, I'm willing to be Penny's voice actress. Lucy then watched as Joey rubbed his chin in deep thought, still looking at the sketch. Listen, Miss Lucy, I appreciate the character concept and stepping up the voice acting, but I'd like to shoot with you for a minute, Joey says, handing her back the sketch and folding his hands in front of him on the desk as he spoke to the female artist and animator. I'm still trying to figure out a bunch of fighters. All of the music, other voice actors, as well as doing something about our ink problem. Besides, I know you and the others work really hard doing what you do, but until these matters are under better control, I'll have to say no. Please, Mr. Drew, I know it's a draft, but that can mean more room improvement, am I right? Lucy replied, nearly begged, not wanting to believe that Joey would basically dismiss her whole character concept altogether. I'm sorry, Miss Peters, but you know that my decision is final, Joey says, giving her the cue to leave his office. Yes, Mr. Drew, Lucy replied, looking towards the floor she left for her desk, where she was almost tempted to crumple her sketch and throw it away with a lot of the discarded storyboards in there as well. Oh, and one more thing, Miss Peters, Joey quickly adds before Lucy was about to leave the room completely. Due to a few other financial issues, I'm gonna have to let you go. So, how did it go with Joey? Henry asked his friend with a grin before it was then replaced with a frown at seeing his hung head. He said that he's trying to deal with other things, Lucy says with a defeated sigh. He said no, Henry, and I have to leave. I'm very sorry, Lucy, Henry said, placing a reassuring hand on her hung shoulder. I would like to see Penny be a part of the show. I know you would have, Lucy said, before she sadly started to pack up all her things, while also trying not to cry in front of her dear friend. Would you like me to escort you home? Henry offered politely. The weather was supposed to be dreary today anyways. Sighing, Lucy smiled sadly as she told her Henry while grabbing all her belongings. Only if you wouldn't mind. Anything for a friend? Henry grinned, offering his hand, which clearly gladly accepted as he led her back home before the weather got worse. They passed some of their other co-workers along the way. Molly Franks, Sammy Lawrence, Susie Campbell, Allison Pendle, Thomas Connor, Lacey Benton, Sean Flynn, Jack Fane, Grant Cohen, and Norman Polk. Clearly they were either confused or ignorant of what this meant, but Lucy was no less embarrassed or upset. Then once Henry and Lucy were back at Lucy's place, they shared a final hug and promised to stay in contact as much as possible before Henry started to walk back to the studio in the rain. Entering her home, Lucy was glad in a way that her children, Emma and Adam, weren't home from school yet. Still, she knew that she couldn't escape telling them that she was fired from work. Lucy then spent the next while applying for other companies in need of another artist or animator, but they didn't respond or said that they didn't want an interview. Lucy then sighed and looked at the portrait she had of her husband, Elliot, who tragically died during the war effort. She then looked at her crumpled sketch of creation and left it inside of her drawer, hoping that one day Princess Penny will come to life on screen. Years had passed, and Lucy was still home to keep her house tidy and in order, as well as to raise her children, whom already learned that their mother didn't work at the studio anymore. A sudden knock on Lucy's front door then snapped her out of her cleaning routine so that she could answer the call. It turned out to be the mailman with a letter for her. Lucy politely thanked the man and went back inside to read the mysterious letter. In her reading chair, Lucy put on her reading glasses to be able to read the letter better. Taking the piece of paper out of the envelope, Lucy was surprised to say the least by what it said as well as whom it was from. Dear Lucy, it seems like a lifetime since we created cartoons together, hasn't it? 30 years really slip away, doesn't it? If you're still in town, come visit the old workshop. There's something I need to show you. P.S. I would like to have Princess Penny on the show. What do you say? Yours truly, Joey Drew. 30 years? Has it really been that long? Lucy had no idea. Also, Joey Drew had written her after this long? And what exactly did Joey need to see her, show her? Well, there's only one way to find out then. Lucy shrugged after reading the letter over again, feeling a small bit of hope bloom inside her at her side note. He wants to see Miss Penny in the show. Boy, this should be exciting. The next morning, Miss Lucy Peters arrived at the old studio and, stepping inside, stopped at seeing another friend who she hadn't seen in years. Henry? Chapter 1. Quickly turning back behind himself, Henry Stein looked up to see Miss Lucy Peters and questioned aloud. Lucy? What are you doing here? Lucy asked her friend, approaching him. It's been forever, my friend. It definitely has, Henry agrees. So, how have you been? He then wondered. All right, Lucy shrugged, her tone slowly sounding more depressed. Adam and Emma are doing all right as well, but no one else wanted to hire me. Anyways, she then added with a bit more enthusiasm. What about you and Linda? We've been doing okay, Henry answered with on his grin. Definitely was worth leaving the studio not too long after you did. Besides, he added as a whisper into her ear, when Joey sent me the letter, I definitely didn't expect to see you here too. He said in my letter that he wanted to show me something. Me neither, Lucy replied. And my letter said that too, except that he wanted to add Penny to the show. That's something to tell you after 30 years, Henry comments, acting suspicious about that remark. I'll say, but I still have my hopes, Lucy says. Well then, Henry then says, facing down the small corridor leading into the more of Joey Doo studios. All right, Joey, we're here. Let's see if we can find what you wanted us to see. From there, the pair of animating friends began to enter the studio, hoping to figure out their purpose here. Immediately turning right from the corridor, Lucy saw that there were many directions they could go in for the different rooms. Art department, ink machine, theater, and break room. She was about to head towards the right when she heard Henry calling her and saying, Hey Lucy, come check this out, prompting the young woman to follow Henry's voice. Henry had gone through a giant garage-like door that was on the other wall, where when Lucy met up with her friend. Henry then chuckled a bit as he mentioned to her, Hey, here's my old desk. I wasted so much time in this chair. You and me both, Lucy added, and the pair shared a good laugh in this otherwise creepy and unpredictable studio setting. From there, Lucy and Henry headed into their next room, full of other animators' desks and workplaces. Looks like they knocked a wall or two after we left, Henry says. Guess it didn't take a lot of people to replace us either, Lucy added, peeking her head towards the boarded-up bathroom, a Bendy cutout just there, like they enjoyed watching someone doing their business for him. Let's backtrack and see what else we can find, Lucy then suggested after she and Henry looked at each animating piece, with Henry nodding quietly. So then, heading out of the art department, the pair found the phrase, Dreams come true, written in ink on the wall. Susie used to say that quite a lot, Lucy reminisced quietly, before eventually Henry and herself found the ink machine room, as well as the chart of how much ink was the dreaded thing used per week, and signed by Thomas Connor himself. This lift could use a few dry cells, Henry says to his friend, just as she was staring down into the dark abyss where the machine most likely was hiding. Well, if it can't be too far, Lucy says, starting to help her friend search, then quickly finding one in the chest with a cog, the other one just on the shelf. That was easy, Henry says, with Lucy crying with, if only what finding Joey's surprise was just a so, while she inserted the dry cells into the nearby box. Once she was done that, Henry gripped the lever, saying, Let's see what you're hiding down there, old friend, before then pulling it and revealing the infamous ink machine from far down below. Looks like we're ready to turn it on, Henry says. Lucy says, though in her mind she was thinking the worst of what could happen if they did so. Luckily, as the two began to wander down and around more halls to find the main power, Henry held her hand in a comforting fashion. She only gripped his hand tighter as a plank of wood from the ceiling made her jump. Seriously? She then asked herself, slightly embarrassed of being scared so easily by a plank of wood. Henry had to refrain from himself from chuckling at her startled state. After all, who knows what else they were going to find down here. Just as Lucy was trying to calm herself down, her eyes widened once again as she saw a horrific sight on her left in the next room. It was Boris the Wolf, one of her favorite characters to design and animate in the show, but his eyes had X's in them, and he was strapped to a table, his chest ripped open with his ribs exposed, and a wrench was stuck inside. There was also small waterfalls of ink flowing on both sides of him, small voices coming from them. Oh my god. Joey, what did you do? Henry then asked from behind Lucy, just as startled as she was. The pair also saw the words, Who's laughing now, on the wall next to Boris. Definitely not me, Lucy says before she and Henry moved out of the room towards the one on the other end of the small area. It turned out to be the break room, with 3 pedestals on each side, before the pair was able to see the lever for the machine's main power, with the words, low pressure, flashing next to it. Alright, how do we get this to work? Henry then wondered, as Lucy noticed the different pictures by each pedestal, a plushie of sorts, something music-related, an inkwell, a cog, a wrench, and a book. Okay, we need to find the different items and place them on the pedestals, she suggested. Possibly, Henry replied. Then it looks like we'll need to find them. We should stay together for this. Something just doesn't feel right about here, Lucy says, a strong sense of paranoia coming over her since the parent came to it. I agree, Henry nodded, and the pair began their search. Only to be scared by a bendy cutout blocking their path. Who put this here? Henry wondered. See, Henry? Lucy says to her friend. This is why we're sticking together. You said it, Henry says, making his way around the cutout, propped up by a plank of wood from earlier. Strange. Anyways, I still remember where the cog and wrench are, Lucy says, carefully removing the tool from the inside of Boris, whispering, I'm sorry, buddy, before rejoining her friend. As they were on their way back towards the ink machine to get the cog and other items, they found what looked like to be a tape recorder. Where's this been? Lucy wondered with a shrugging Henry, while Miss Peters pressed play, immediately hearing the voice of Wally Franks. At this point, I don't get what Joey's Planet's with company. The animations sure aren't getting finished on time anymore. Ain't that the truth? Lucy muttered to herself before she and Henry listened on him. And I certainly don't see why we need this machine. It's noisy, it's messy, and who needs that much ink anyway? Clearly Joey, Henry says, with Lucy nodding quietly. Also, get this. Joey had each of us donate something from our workstation. We put them on these little pedestals in the break room. To appease the gods, Joey says. Keep things going. Well, at least we're on the right track of finding Omnis on the break room. Lucy says, I think he's lost his mind. But hey, he writes the checks. Well, he's definitely not wrong, Henry says. But tell you what, if one more of these pipe trips, I'm out of here. Wally concluded before the audio log ended. He sure liked using that phrase, Lucy says. Though then again, you can't blame the guy. Come on, Lucy, we need to move on. Henry prompts, with Lucy hurrying after him, thinking of how she and Wally Franks used to joke around a lot as well and make great chats on. The pair then found the theater room with the Bendy plushie just sitting on the chair. Lucy almost giggled like a little girl as she picked up the cute little guy with squeak. That's another one. It looks like this is the pressure, Henry informs his friend, referring to the wheel labeled as ink pressure. So let's just quickly find the rest of the items, come back here, then the ink machine. Lucy summarized, Henry nodding as in agreement before the pair continued on with their search. Eventually, Henry and Lucy found the cog for the ink machine. Joey's book, The Illusion of Living, from a room downstairs. The inkwell under one of the desks in the art department, and finally, the record under a desk in one of the small rooms with a desk, shelf, and radio. Okay, that's all of them, Henry says, as he and his friend started to head back to the break room to place each item in their appropriate pedestals, each item under a spotlight as it did so. After that, Henry approached their level for the main power, saying, "Now we just need to get things flowing somehow. Super shoots are around here somewhere. Then we can start the main power. Good to know that we know where it is now, huh?" Henry asked his friend, who replied with, "Yeah, and it's good to know that you remembered that." Lucy almost felt slightly bashful and blushy all of a sudden, but then quickly stepped out of it. Besides, Henry was just her friend, even as her husband had died. "Come on then, let's just get this machine running and get out of here," Lucy says, trying to hide the fact of herself patting her cheeks to minimize the blushing. Henry not too far behind her. Another jump scare, courtesy of another Bendy cat, managed to frighten Henry and Lucy once again. Where do all those things keep coming from? Lucy wondered as they entered the theater room, watching Bendy in suspicion, and then noticing the activated projection of Bendy dancing and whistling on screen. Well, it's actually kind of cute, Lucy admits while Henry turned the wheel for the ink pressure. As soon as he did so, though, one of the pipes in the room burst, spilling and flooding ink everywhere. Okay, that's not good, Lucy says with widened eyes, as she and Henry then began their way back to the break room to activate the main power. After Henry and Lucy worked together to pull the lever, Lucy felt slightly paranoid again as the lighting around them changed. "I got a bad feeling about this," Lucy admits to Henry, who reassured her with, "I do too, but we need to keep moving." The pair began to head back towards the ink machine, only to see that the entryway was boarded up. "Well, that wasn't there before," Lucy says, slowly approaching the doorway, only to be knocked over in fright by a giant inky version of the little devil darling himself, try to grab her. "Lucy!" the ink demon cried out demonically, as Henry quickly urged her friend to her feet to flee the studio as it began to flood and close off all its doors. "Lucy, come on, we're nearly there," Henry motivated her as they were close to the exit. Then the pair fell down a few flights before they could even grab the knob. They fell into more ink that was so deep that it was touching the bottom of Lucy's white blouse. "We need to hurry," Henry says, before trudging his way toward the valve wheel, turning it, while Lucy began to play another recording on the shelf once all the ink was drained away. "It's cold and it's dark, and stuck at every single window. In some places, I swear that this godforsaken ink is clear to my knees. That makes two of us then," Lucy commented to the audio log. "Whoever thought that these crumbled pipes could hold up under this kind of strain either knows something about pressure that I don't, or he's some kind of idiot. But the real worst part about this are the noises the system makes, like a dying dog on its last legs. Make no mistake, this place, this machine, heck, this whole darn thing, it just isn't natural. You can bet I won't be doing any more repair jobs for Mr. Joey Drew." "That's definitely Thomas Connor, all right," Henry remarks as they continued downward, turning two more valve wheels as they went. Lucy remembered that Mr. Connor was definitely grumpy, yet also caring and playing at the studio. At the bottom sat a desk with an ask on it that Henry gladly took into his own hands. "This'll definitely come handy," he says, starting to swing it around as he cleared a path for both of them to go through together. The two eventually opened a door that led into a room full of coffins and a strange-looking pentagram on the ground floor. Lucy suddenly felt dizzy, and she also was getting a horrible migraine that made her collapse and see brief visions of the ink machine, a wheelchair, and ink demon Bendy. "Lucy!" Henry cried out as he caught his fainted friend over, before he too became overwhelmed by the visions and spinning, and then collapsing on the top of the floor pentagram with Miss Lucy Peters. And that's the story so far. And I know I tried my best to do some of the voicing the other characters, but let me know what you guys think, and please let me know what you think of the story, and if you want me to do more of these things, then I'll leave links for both my Quotev and my Wattpad down in the description below, so you can check it out for yourselves. And I post this every other Monday because I have other projects I want to do, such as I have TMNT stuff. I'm starting to do for originals, and I also do a bit of RP on my Quotev. So please let me know if you want to do more things. And as always, see you all soon and happy reading.